There are very few things which genuinely annoy me. The fact I don't yet own a pet crow, bread pudding being served as a dessert, Coldplay, but there is one comment I keep seeing on the internet which grinds my gears more than all of them combined, and that is, as someone who played first-person shooters on PC back in 2001, Halo Combat Evolved wasn't even anything special. Sorry, but that is mental. I've seen several people share that opinion in recent weeks as discussion of Bungie's 2001 masterpiece has intensified following the announcement of remake Halo Campaign Evolved. Ugh. And it's one which has been around for donkeys. During the 90s, I was an avid PC gamer. My love affair with the genre started when I played Doom at my cousin's house, its fantastic soundtrack and extreme violence leaving me itching for more. And from there, I played as many FPSs as possible, including everything from boomer shooters such as Quake and Unreal, to the newer breed of more story-focused titles like Half-Life or System Shock. I was also savagely addicted to online FPSs during the late 90s and early noughties especially. My absolute favourite was Return to Castle Wolfenstein, but I also spent a disgusting amount of time playing several Quakes as well as Counter-Strike. Between 1998 and about 2004, my constant use of my parents' 56k internet connection basically rendered them uncontactable by phone, such was the depths of my addiction. And of course, I mustn't forget about the many console shooters I played endlessly either. GoldenEye, Perfect Dark, Quake 2's technologically amazing PlayStation port, Time Splitters. I played anything I could get my grubby little hands on. Long story short, by the time 2001 and the release of Halo Combat Evolved rolled around, I considered myself to be something of an FPS veteran, even if I was only 13 years old. One particularly average Saturday, a mate invited me round his house to have a go on his new Xbox and Halo Combat Evolved. No big deal, I thought. There is no way it's going to be as awesome as my PlayStation 2 or the shooters I play every day on PC. I myself was fully bought into the narrative that FPSs were and always would be better on a computer, and I'd also seen many posts on Game FAQs, my favourite video game forum, saying that Halo was nothing compared to what was available on computer. Within 30 minutes of us starting Halo's split-screen campaign, I realised those people were profoundly stupid and decided I had to get hold of an Xbox as soon as was humanly possible. Stepping out onto installation 04 for the first time and witnessing the sheer scale of it all was frankly mind-blowing.
The others, we impact. There's nothing we can do.
And my jaw continued to hit the floor over and over again during the next few hours as we motored through to Combat Evolved's conclusion. Stepping away from the game, probably because my mum had arrived to take me home for dinner, my reaction was not one of, well, that was a fun, if somewhat unimpressive experience. It was more along the lines of, oh sweet baby Jesus, I cannot believe what I have just played. How is something like this even possible on a console? And my disbelief at how ridiculously ahead of its time and its peers Halo Combat Evolved was in 2001 is a feeling which hasn't really dissipated some 24 years later. It's at this point that I want those of you watching who truly don't think the game was anything particularly special, even for its time, to help me here, as apparently I must have somehow missed all the PC games available at the time which did many of the things Halo did, even half as well. One of the biggest was the so-called Golden Triangle, that magical combination of guns, grenades and melees you can quickly and easily use thanks to all of them having their own separate buttons. There is nothing more satisfying than weaving them together to lay waste to the Covenant. And I cannot think of many, if any, PC games which featured similar. Yes, it was a control scheme designed to make playing an FPS on console more palatable, but you will never be able to convince me that having to use number keys to switch between the three on PC, which is what you mostly had to do, was a preferable option. Nothing on PC came close to doing it as well as Halo. Then there was the regenerating shield Master Chief was equipped with, alongside the health bar more commonly used by PC shooters of the time. It's worth noting that Bungie popularised the concept, they didn't create it, but nonetheless there were no FPSs which implemented similar anywhere near as successfully on computer. Most PC shooters had health and maybe armour, which I suppose sort of acted like a shield given it protected your health bar, but that did not create the same feeling of combat being a dance that Halo did, as you drove forward until your shield ran out, then dove to cover, a beautiful symphony of risk and reward. Nothing on PC came close to doing it as well as Halo. Finally, what about vehicular combat and the scale Bungie imbued so much of Combat Evolved with to accommodate it? Everyone who's played Halo remembers driving out onto the ring's green hills for the first time, or hopping in a Scorpion during assault on the control room and taking the fight to the Covenant.
What the? Punch it!
I'm sure there will be some smartasses out there who will point to the first two things discussed, the Golden Triangle and the Health and Shield combo, and say there was a game or two which did similar-ish, but I just cannot for the life of me think of any single-player FPS which featured Halo's superb mix of on-foot and vehicular combat. That idea of them complementing each other so brilliantly is part of it as well. They were not separate things, they were two equal parts of one extraordinary whole. Nothing on PC came close to doing it as well as Halo. And of course, there were a ton of other features which I'm not going to talk about as much, which were nonetheless a huge part of why Halo Combat Evolved was so impressive. The enemy AI for the Covenant, not the Flood, was just as brilliant as anything on PC. It really felt like your enemies were thinking. The two-weapon system, another console concession, worked superbly, pushing you to use different weapons rather than you relying on one or two favourites for the entirety of the campaign. I will admit that the pistol is a teeny tiny bit broken though. Halo was also just as cinematic, if not more so, than anything you could play on your computer at the time. The incredible music, the in-world storytelling, the fantastic cutscenes. So many gamers' love affairs with the series' story began with Combat Evolved because it was so perfectly executed.
Heads up, everyone, this is it. We're entering the ring's atmosphere in 5.
Sure you wouldn't rather take a seat?
We'll be fine.
If I still had fingers, they'd be crossed.
And I could honestly rabbit on for hours longer too, but I really promised myself I'd stick to my word count for this video. I know I've been perhaps a tad aggressive in the way I've put forward an opinion which could be described as an unhinged rant about something no one really cares about, but I care about it, because I'm a sad, sad man, but also because Halo Combat Evolved is, in my mind, one of the top 5 greatest games ever made, and yet for some reason this absolutely bonkers opinion that there were loads of shooters as good or better than it on PC back in 2001 still prevails some 24 years later. And look, we live in an age where everyone hates to admit they're wrong about anything. It's a real shame, honestly, but I am not one of those people. So if you disagree, if you think I'm a silly Billy who doesn't know what they're talking about, if you think I've completely lost my marbles, then explain to me why, as I love talking about this stuff. You'll still be wrong, but hey, at least you tried. Thanks for watching the video, boys, girls and Spartans. If you had a good time, do consider liking, subscribing and sharing your thoughts, and hopefully I'll catch you again soon.